Hmm. Your lower decks first takes in R.I.P. Grant today on number 163, Trekland Tuesdays Live, with me, Dr. Trek, Larry Nemecek, coming at you right here from the heart of Trekland HQ, right through Portal 47. Hey guys, welcome back to all our Tuesday Treklanders, our TTLers, and all you new folk who are finding your way here through whatever weens. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, we'll have some Q&A. There's a chat that's going all the way through, especially for you folks coming in on Twitch, one or two of you. It's not a constant chat until we get to after the break, okay? But I'm seeing everybody pumping in here now. If you're new to Trekland Tuesdays Live, hang on. We will do Q&A after the midway break. But at first, I want to say a word about a couple of things, and then we'll have the Parrot TV streaming ratings for streaming TV, too, at the end. And I'm going to do something that maybe I shouldn't today. Maybe I shouldn't try to cram two things in one. We'll see. Because I'd already wanted to say something. You know, I always say here at Trekland Tuesdays Live, I try to give you something that's not the same old you get everywhere on the internet. But at times there's headlines that you can't ignore. And got that in spades this week. But it started on Sunday. Started on Sunday with the release of the first real Star Trek Lower Decks trailer. That's going to be followed by a full scene at the virtual Star Trek mega panel on Thursday, week from Thursday, from Comic-Con at home, all the virtual panels, including the panel that I was pleased and thrilled to do with 3 generation Star Trek science advisors. That'll be on Thursday, too. You can see that at the blog. I'll remind you about that at the end. But, yes, Lower Decks is coming. You can see a scene in over a week, but this trailer dropped Sunday. And I did not my typical email, and if you're not on my email list, please go over to LarryNemecek.com and do that. I often take, at least once a month or so, try to take a survey of our Treklanders online on email, on my email list. But then, you know, there's surveys. You can do surveys on every social platform. And I started seeing some reactions on Sundays. I never know what to expect anymore because reactions keep varying. Although the truth is really the reactions on different platforms keep varying. We've talked about this too, and it's always good to keep it upper mind, right? Here's where your big picture sanity and clarity at all things Star Trek comes in that we try to bring here. Not the same old, although surveys and polls are fun. So yeah, I ask this time on Instagram and Twitter. I never did one on even my Facebook, where you guys are watching right now. I'll often do a survey there. But I did this on Twitter and Instagram, and then watch just the comments that come in everywhere, including Facebook. And I'll tell you my own reaction in just a second. But what I learned out of this gets back to something I saw in an article recently that I think may be the focus of one of our weekly topics here. It's how we get all wrapped up in fandom and in politics and in sports everywhere. We talk about our tribalism and how things aren't as civil as they used to be. And yet, read a very thoughtful piece recently about how maybe it's not us. Well, it's us in the end. But what's driving this is not that we're somehow becoming more tribal. It's because of how the different social platforms we're on that we use to communicate now. Yay, we're communicating globally, but in what way? What is the size of the transportation cubicle that we're cramming ourselves into that forces us to communicate that way? Whether it's a little Twitter spasm, or it's a Facebook post, or it's an Instagram pretty, whatever it is, you know, it's your Snapchat, whatever, your TikTok signed, danced move, whatever it is, that the medium is the message, like good old Marshall McLuhan said once, or it's at least shaping the message in the way we communicate. Now, that's a lot of meta, that's a lot of deep stuff, but reading that later on brought back to mind the lower decks reactions I was seeing. And it almost became an unintended science puzzle here, because let me share you this. Let me just share you this. And once again, did I not thank our Patreon folks? I didn't thank our Patreon folks at the beginning. So thank you, Patreon folks. I'll tell you about that. Our TTL Club and our live wires. I'm going to give a shout out to Blaze K and Lawrence Todd and our TTL Club. And yes, all the live wires there. Rusty Harold, Jared Cooper with 2 R's, Mr. Vestek, Halbjörn Goodson, and Jalen Bullock. Thanks, guys, again. I'll tell you more about how you could be a Patreon and help us out here at Trekland. Spread the word. It's become a spreading viral year, even without COVID. So viral shaping the message. Here's what caught my eye. I just forgot to do just a fun little snap poll. What was your reaction to the trailer for Lower Decks? Okay? But I did set it up on Twitter and Instagram. Now, granted, there's even numbers-wise, there's a different size. Twitter is my strongest platform, I think you would say. And then Instagram is my newest and youngest. And I'm going to say Star Trek and sci-fi fandom, Instagram is not for them the way it is for, I don't know, the niceties people, models and celebrities, especially female celebrities. Anybody that has anything to do with niceties. All the friends I have in entrepreneuring and business that are in design and looks, and they even worried about their grid of photos having a pattern. I say that to sci-fi folks, and they're like, what? So Instagram is not all things to all people. And at this time, I don't think I'm heading into the wind trying to get Trek folk over there. But it is growing, and it's happening, and I'm getting a lot of people. But it's still not the biggest platform as Twitter is. And then Facebook is out there. I think per capita, I think my Twitter is bigger than my Trekland Facebook anyway. But here's an interesting thing. So some of you may have seen it, but basically I just said snap reaction. I did the poll on Instagram because you only get 2 options. So I just did a simple, not even I don't know, jury's out yet. I just did a simple thumbs up, thumbs down on the trailer. And only 22 people have voted so far. You could dig back and find it. It's still open to vote, I think. No, it was a story. It came and went in 24 hours. So voting is closed. 22 people actually voted on Instagram. And on Instagram, it was 21 thumbs up, 1 thumb down. 95% yes, 5% no on a snap reaction flash take. Wow, okay. On Twitter, we collected over 305 votes. Now, this has had 3 days to run, and it's still live if you want to go dig it out on my Twitter feed. And I was able to give 4 options here. Still interesting. So we had a yes. I said yes. It has a tune tone and a Trek visual. Then I have a no. But then I also have jury still out. And whether I like it or I don't like it, I'm not paying. And I didn't get into can't pay or won't pay. But still, if money is an issue one way or the other, it's not about principle or content. So here's that. It still was very positive. But here on Twitter, it's more nuanced, and I had 4 options. The yes vote was 60.7%. So 60%, a clear majority. No was 12%. Actually, the number 2 answer was the jury is still out, which is pretty nuanced. Yay for Twitter. 23.9%. So almost a quarter said, I'm holding off to see. That kind of implies that they're at least going to watch, right? Which I think people who like it are going to watch and still reserve the critique, but people who don't feel the need to say yay or nay yet. And then the sorry, not paying, can't pay, won't pay is 3.3%. So I was just struck by how, was it driven by the number of options? Yes, no. And a lot of people, if you totally believe the stats, 78 people saw that story with the poll, and only 22 people voted. So, less than a third voted out of the folks who saw it. And maybe a lot of folks saw it aren't Trek people, maybe on my Instagram feed, maybe they're bored silly by it. They didn't want to stop and mess and take 3 seconds to click on. But definitely the Twitter is a bigger sample, and it's more broad-based because you've got political people, you've got Sooners and Will Rogers people, all my different things overlap in Twitter, but definitely a bigger sample, 3 and 5. Am I losing you yet? Are you droning off? I just thought it was interesting that by platform, the tone, not just the number is obvious, but the reaction. And yeah, maybe it was about reactions. Now, the reactions in comments gave a lot of headwind to this. And I think we get back to the bit about if you're fat and sassy and satisfied, you don't sound off. Managers, hotels, whatever's, Karen or not, if you've ever done anything, if you've ever been the face of something or in charge, responsible, you tend to get complaints from the people who have a complaint, obviously. Not so many satisfied comments from people who are happy, because they're happy. Why would they say anything? Right. Unless something outstanding happens. So it always feels more negative in reaction than the reality is. And it's nice to get a check like that where everything is there. It's always nice to get a positive feedback, not just the negatives. But it was thoughtful in a lot of my streams. What did I think? I basically said I was pleasantly surprised. Now, I've had all kinds of faith in Mike McMahon and the team he's put together along the way. A lot of you out there don't quite have that faith. You don't know. These are new names. These are new things. I get it. I get it. I've been saying lately that not until all 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 flavors of the Star Trek buffet are rolled out will the differences come, the flavors will come to be felt and seen and sensed, right? I want to hi, by the way, Twitch folks and YouTube folks. Again, I will say I'm not ignoring your comments. We will get to Q&A. We're on 3 platforms, and I'll do Q&A after the midway break, okay? But again, the comments I tend to see are, I want to say negative, but they're not negative. They're thoughtful critiques. A lot of people are sincerely worried. They sincerely have concerns and questions. I see the differentiation in the shows already, aside from how they were put together or the conditions of their birth. But I see a lot of people with thoughtful concerns. A lot of people just don't want Star Trek in a cartoon. Maybe they never saw the animated series. Maybe they didn't like it when they did see it. I don't know. That's a generation ago. And there were concerns then, although the concerns in 1973 were about how dare you make Star Trek into a cartoon? It's far more serious than that, which echoes a little bit of what we get here. A lot of the protest, though, was people who were, remember, first-gen Trek fandom was all about the reunion, just survival. We didn't have the luxury of nuanced debate. It was just about surviving live action, get our actors and our characters. Star Trek is Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, right? Get our actors and our characters back alive in front of us in real plots and real platforms. This half-hour Saturday morning cartoon doesn't cut it. And you're going to sabotage them. You're going to sabotage us by them claiming that, look, we gave you Star Trek back. I thought that would be a sop, right? No, it wound up being a building block on the return. But a lot of people were concerned that all the angst and energy was going to go into this Saturday morning cartoon, and the Star Trek revival would end there. There, you got a cartoon. What more do you want for your canceled little failed show? So there was angst around the animation, and a lot of people just never saw it. And then as the years went by, first 20 years or so, very few people, unless you were there or had tapes, taped it off Nickelodeon, mid-70s. And of course, we've had a whole rebirth here since it's been brought back to the family. Genes passed. We've papered over, we've retconned some of the canon difficulties and explained it. And people have embraced animated series. And I don't know how much it factors into what people even view Lower Decks or hashtag NickTrek, a.k.a. Prodigy. We'll see. But yeah, the debate's going on now about this. Me, personally, I was shocked that the visual detail has been there. I was shocked to see the ship. I was amazed. And of course, okay, fine, I get it. When the ship porn nerd industry descended on the USS Cerritos, by the way, that's how it is said. I forget that people don't know how to pronounce Cerritos because The minute we moved to LA 25 years ago, you were inundated with take 605 to South Street, Cerritos Auto Square. By the degree of done this and where to depart and all that. And yeah, I know there's big questions structurally, but people, the ship nerds are arguing over the pylon access through to the nacelles. Did you not see? Have you not seen other Starfleet ships starting with Star Trek 3? No, it's fun. I was surprised by that. The cartoon tone of the show is a little hyper, but that's what most animation is. Even if it's dramatic, it's hyper realized drama. So, this is not a blanket, I live it to the day I die, you can't tell me wrong. Obviously, there will be, not just me, any Star Trek. And the danger I see sometimes in the reactions to things and people broad brushing everything is we forget the clinkers. A lot of folks now haven't even seen the original series, and boy, did it have its clinkers, especially as things go on. But I'm talking beloved DS9 and Next Gen. Much less Voyager. Well, Enterprise, yeah. There were the clinkers, the 26 eps a year. A third of them, a fourth of them a year could be, not the best. So, anyway, what intrigued me, though, was what I started seeing a rise of, even in my Twitter feeds, that I like to think we have a lot of thoughtful people that come over to Trekland. It's what I always try to encourage. Never try to stomp anything down, but just be civil and talk. I can't believe we have to say just be civil and your points will be heard better. But I refuse to think that's generational. Whether or not that's Twitter, 350 characters forcing the issue, we'll see. But thoughtful critiques. There are a lot of people that love Star Trek so much that they're fearful that something's going to mess it up, and I get that. And sometimes the reaction to that basic fear just translates into either more fear or anger, defensive anger. I get that. And when it's anonymous with people you don't even know, you've never met, you only know them through a little box, that happens. But no, I saw a lot of reaction to Lower Decks about people lumping it in with Discovery and Picard. And I even took some fire for saying I can totally see the difference between Discovery and Picard. And got accused of being condescending to say that. I never mean to condescend. I'll take on everybody here, but when I say take on, I mean leave the door open unless you're just horribly abusive. We don't shouldn't tolerate that anyway. Plus, I don't know if you want to go engage someone in a discussion and you actually want to change their mind. Pro tip, being abusive is kind of a good way to get the door slammed in your face. It's not the way door-to-door salesmen were taught to make a sale. Life's tough enough without shooting yourself in the foot before you ever get your foot in the door. That was tortured. But, yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to share some of those hot takes with you. My hot take is the show's going to be fine. I'm sure there'll be groaner moments. But every series has to find its way. This thing about creating an animated series intact, which, I mean, now all the moderns, in the old days, the shooting would start every season on the live shows in May or June, and then they'd start unrolling in September or maybe October. But at the time of the first of a season airing, when audiences saw the first shows of a season for Next Gen and DS9 and Voyager and Enterprise, and the original series, when you saw the first episodes, they hadn't finished the end of the season yet. So now we're into the streaming years where the whole thing is compactly done, and maybe they're doing the final touches on the last show or two in post, or maybe they're shooting up the last of it. But the animateds, they're completely apparently done before they start. People have been saying, when already for 2 years. But I tell you what, after seeing all the sets, all the props, I'm starting to see why it took 2 years. I just say good job, Mike. Good job, team. So far, don't accuse me of bland bandwagonism, I saw a trailer. Trailers are trailers, whether it's animation or not, and they're a little more hyper than anything anyway. So there were some calm science, some calmer, quieter moments that showed, yeah, comic timing. But anyway, I don't see anything to sabotage it. And a lot of folks also are worried about the black bar moments. If you saw the trailer, yeah, it was a joke. It felt a little, dare I say this? Somebody said it in Twitter. Season 1 Orville. I would even say early season 1 Orville. A little bit of the ribald. It's the classy way to say lewd. Humor there. So it was a choice. It's like, where is this series going to come down? Was that a one-off moment for all 20 episodes of the first 2 years, or is that typical? And what were the choices that could have been made there? Should he have jumped? Should Boimler have jumped up in his undies, in his skivvies? Would that have got the point across in a fast-moving, comedy? And the people who are worried about comedy there. Bottom line, there are senior staff to counterpoint our lower decks ensigns. So I think there'll be plenty of room for the Roddenberry vision and a bottom line to go there. They're very bravely talking about canon. The details, as we've had people break out, yes, 47s as well. Check the pad. Check the assignment duty roster pad. Yeah. I'm good with it. I'm excited, and most of all, branching. And the folks that say, don't call this a kiddie show, I would not show this to my kids. I get it. I'm thinking tweens. I'm thinking 12-year-olds and up. Maybe not for little kids, although everybody's different. Everything varies. Anyway, I was pleasantly surprised at the depth, as opposed to the last 3 years we've had debates over canon, and visual canon especially. I was pleasantly blown away by the lengths they went to. Lengths, not links. Lengths that they went to involve as much background detail canon and, Easter eggs in jokes as possible. So I'm sure everybody can sound off here too, because I didn't want to take all. That was my Sunday plan. Sunday plan was to talk about Lower Decks and also the reaction and the reaction to the reaction. But then last night, the first time since lockdown that I actually gone to a non-family, socially distanced, careful friend event. Friend's birthday party, my friend Lee. Socially distanced in clusters, couples clustered, 6-8 feet apart. On the way home, I got the news that we'd lost Grant Imahara. And people have been reacting all night and all day. Again, it was late in the evening here, Pacific time, 2 or 3 hours after the news apparently had first broken. And what can I say? I was just gutted. I've posted some on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter already. An aneurysm. 49. And look, I didn't work with Grant for 47 years on Mythbusters. I didn't watch Mythbusters regularly. I knew about it. You couldn't walk around in the air of America. I did a live piece last night just trying to get some thoughts out on Instagram Live, and I kind of said this too. You can't not know about Mythbusters as long as it went on. But I know it has a huge following, it has a huge fandom. A ton of people grew up watching Mythbusters, much less than just enjoying it from wherever they were in life. And Adam and all that crew have been talking about Grant. But no, if you're here for Trek, Star Trek continues. And I really got to know Grant from day one. Grant was one of our celebrities. It was already known pretty much on a wider basis, but you'd never know it. He had a busier schedule, especially early on, but you'd not know it. And I'm so glad I did a lot of video. I've got so much Star Trek Continues stuff that I haven't, images and video. I've got tons that I haven't put out and shared with the world yet. Formal interviews and just tons of silly B-roll. But Grant was, yeah, Grant was great. Grant was just what you saw on camera. Smart and kooky and upbeat and grounded and just happy for you and happy for everyone. And I'm sure he had his bad days and down times. He was pretty down when, when they all got, when Mythbusters changed its format and he was no longer part of Mythbusters. That was a downer, obviously. But it was always great. He loved playing Sulu, and he loved being there and playing like a little kid. And if you see some of the videos on my YouTube channel or go back and read the original blog posts, that comes through in a heartbeat. But for everybody around him, from our actors to our college kids we had on crew, everybody, I saw little Michelle talking today about he was like a big brother or an uncle. But he was just so positive. Always supported me and everybody he knew in any of the angles, including continues. If we were crossing paths at a con, including the big Comic-Cons, he would always find his way over to say hi and we'd talk for a minute and catch up. I never really had the chance to hit him up or work with him or support him on anything or cross support on anything major, but just one of those people that just lit up the room, and it did that. And people of all ages are talking today about what Mythbusters meant to them or what his Sulu and continues meant. And we've got enough behind the scenes images and footage that people are flooding the internet with that. So I know I thought it was odd too. I debated talking about Grant. On one hand, I don't want to pile on. It's everybody's my personal memory. That's out there, and I'll add some to that. So I didn't really want to take 20, 30 minutes just talking about that. But as we're already kind of shifting gears here, Grant was lucky. Grant worked hard. He had his academic degrees. He worked hard to get what he did. He was good at it with his brains and what he did with his life. And was able to bring it to TV, get noticed, break through, to where, yes, Vic and the Continues bunch saw him and brought him in to be Sulu, and he met a whole new range of people and crossed people over and brought smiles. And he certainly brought a lot of smiles and good time to our crew, good old Kingsland, back in the day, all of 3 to 6 years ago. But what maybe the bigger lesson here is that, sure, Grant could critique anything. He could break anything down. He could blow it up too, physically. But that wasn't his way of approaching anything. And I realized that as I was worried about cramming two totally different subjects into 1 hour decks, I didn't want to wait another week on Lower Decks. And obviously it would be silly to wait to talk about Grant a little bit and share more. But it kind of hit me how, Grant was so lucky he got to do what gave him pleasure, but then he worked hard for it at the same time. And what brought him pleasure in life, building, making robots, everything geeky, nerdy, even if he wasn't in the middle of it, he could just support others doing their thing. That's a wonderful place to do and be in your life, and it's a wonderful way to live your life, getting to live your life the way you want to on your terms. We can't all do that. We all, hopefully at least, are trying hard. And the way the world is now, it's crazy. It has been inverted. We probably live at a time when it's the easiest to do that. I was part of a big box world. I'm still trying to figure it out, but the last 5-10 years, it's been go out there. Go blog, go YouTube, go do your thing. Go find money. We're having a social upheaval time right now that's going to do the same thing. We're going to hear more black voices. We're going to hear more native, indigenous. We're going to hear more voices, period. Women are already stepping up. And no, that's not canceling white guys. I don't think that's going to happen. Seriously. I look at Starfleet in the 24th century. They're doing fine, and they let the other planets in to the club. But what I'm saying is here, that's kind of the attitude that Grant embraced. He was just a happy guy. And I don't mean happy as in he's guarding a deep, dark secret. I mean positivism. And positivism for himself and for you. And when I look at what's going on the net, if even when people on Twitter say, when they're not being outright negative, I maybe they're right to be a little fearful. Maybe they're right to be a little guarded. Maybe the damn world we've been through for the last 2 and 3 and 4 years, even before COVID, kind of came out of nowhere and shook a lot of people to where we thought we couldn't just coast along on our basic good attitude about humanity. But I still think that's the dominant thread here. And it's amazing to me, in the lens of talking about Lower Decks and losing Grant and thinking about his life and what he was able to do, but also why so many people are talking about him today, especially the people that were lucky enough to work with him. But even so, the persona that came through the camera, no matter what he was doing, the positivism, even when you're about to critique something, just finding the infinite diversity and the infinite combinations of it all. Yeah, pivoting from mourning Grant to seeing the beauty of his life, and the beauty even more so that what he was able to bring and share and just maybe show away for folks. Not to get too big about it, but when your mind goes there, because that's certainly the way he was. I was always grateful for the good times when we had the times. Didn't eat dinner with him every night of the week, but it was just great to share time with him when we could and get to know and work and respect and appreciate. And that's all we can ask of anybody that we spend time with, no matter what level it is, no matter what arena, family or friends or colleagues. And it just, again, reflects back to how we deal with each other now. In the COVID lockdown times, more than ever, because we are depending on these artificial technologies, not so much our face-to-face. Heaven forbid we've all gotten better at Zooming. Some of us have been doing it for 5 years, but it's a way of life now. So anyway, if that's a little rambling, a little more convoluted, forgive me. It's what I ask. I ask for that, trying to cram 2 different subjects together. But as I kind of thought about how I'd approach this, I didn't want to give either one up today. I could see how one informs the other. Now, Lower Decks, I'm talking about responding to it. We'll see how the show goes. I can't wait. And I will be sitting down and doing my concordance entries. Take Mike at his word, take Alex at their word. They've already gone to pains to fit this in to a slot. It's probably a slot that we're not going to be visiting with a live action show, right? Immediately post Nemesis. So they've kind of given Lower Decks a path here that nothing else is going to intrude. So what they're going to be able to say goes. Guys, it's going to be fun in 5 years, 10 years, when a live action Star Trek wants to be set in this time. And then we'll see how much they adhere to the look of Lower Decks. And then we'll get all of it was just a cartoon, don't worry about it, versus, oh no, it's canon. They better build these new sets out of plywood and foam core exactly the way they were done on Lower Decks. Well, that'll be something fun to look forward to. I can't wait. By the time we have 5D pink ray holographic media that we can communicate over in real time or negative time. I can't wait. Anyway, we'll take a break here in just a second, and I'll be back with the Parrot streamers, the streaming ratings, and I'll backtrack and get to everybody's comments here about Lower Decks and about Grant, too. So make sure to share what you want to. I will get to that in just a second, but first I just want to remind everybody that, yes, I mentioned our Patreon folks, our TTL Club, and our Live Wires. I differentiate those. I have a very simple Patreon. And if you're not familiar with Patreon, it's a platform for folks to donate and support their favorite makers and creators in all kinds of fields. And I have a very simple one, just the $5 and $10 a month at patreon.com/Trekland Live. You may go there and see all kinds of other projects, art and film and music, writing, that you may want to support too. And that's cool. So thank you. I kept it small and simple, and hopefully more people can do something and take part. I appreciate you guys. It's eventually added up to where we're restreaming now and hitting more platforms, and we'll keep taking pains to grow here at the same time. But otherwise, the other big love of my life right now on media is Live Sport Live on Saturdays. And just want to thank everybody who's able to come over with us live. It's archived on YouTube and Facebook also. You can also watch us on Twitch there too. It's every Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. British Summertime, 7 p.m. Central European Summertime. How do you like the way I can rattle it off now? No, Dr. Ali Matu and Dr. Trek, and one of us is a real doctor, we tackle Star Trek going boldly through uncertain times. Star Trek and mental health. It's a wonderful lens. It's not dour. We have a lot of fun. We have a special coming up, but please go over to our Live Sport Live, join the Facebook page, and then vote every week on our survey of a topic. And we've got that running. Well, it'll be up here as soon as I get off with you guys. We'll get that posted, okay? If you haven't come over, if you haven't given us a watch, I urge you to do so. I know a lot of the folks on the stream here already have, and we appreciate them coming over. And it's Saturday. It's not competing for your weekend or your weeknight time. It's perfect for shutdown times. Other than that, of course, already up today on the Tuesday Twofers is the Trek Files from Roddenberry Podcasts. This week, Rod himself is back with us to talk about, here's something that's so dated, profanity in Star Trek, via the lens of his mom, Majel Roddenberry, and the letters she wrote to a fan. So yeah, more Trek Files, more guests, and Rod's our guest this week, and it's a short take, under half an hour. Jump over on Facebook and catch it. It's the Trek Files, the only podcast that gives you paperwork. Every week the documents are there, all scanned for you, everything. And hey guys, thanks for watching wherever you're watching from right now. If you're on YouTube, it's Larry Nemecek. That's what my Twitter handle is. If you're on Facebook, it's Larry Nemecek's Trekland. That's what my Instagram is. Jump over there. I'd love to see you. Please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm finally working on building it. And Instagram, I don't know, did you agree with the way that my assessment of Instagram and Star Trek? Did you agree with the turnout on the poll on Instagram? Go over and like that too. Otherwise, of course, portal47.net's where all the Portales hanging out. It's like a mini con all year long, no matter where your center seat is. If you enjoy the way I come at Star Trek, if you enjoy the big picture that Trekland, it's even more so. The height of that is Portal 47. I urge you to go take a look. Take a look because I'll even run, especially during COVID times, we run membership specials at times. So take a look over there. Most of all, if you're leaving us right now, before the break, as always, guys, please, please, please stay healthy out there. Stay woke, and I mean check your sources, stay woke, as well as your awareness. Most of all, everybody, trek well. All right. So for those of you hanging on, I'm going to fire up the parrot machine here and fire up the, I'm going down. Where? Oh, there we are. To the top of the questions. Let's look at the parrots first before we do Q&A. Hey, Twitchers. Yes, I'm talking to you. We will be up to the questions in a minute. I'll find out whatever was said the first, 30, 40 minutes here. You'll be long gone, I know, by the time I get to your comment. But just so you know, we did get to it eventually. So the parent analytics are a way of measuring the unmeasurable digital original streaming shows, since Nielsen's don't apply to them, and those companies don't share it publicly because it's great. It's got lots of commercial capital. He who has the information has the power. And this week on the digital originals shows, Parrot Analytics has been doing this for 10 years out of New Zealand. We found them with Discovery. Thank you again, John X. And they have a metric. Rather than look at eyeballs that they can't, they look at activity online. They call it demand expressions. They have a whole algorithm they use to scour the internet of many countries. They post several of them. We look at the U.S. market every week. And this week, they've changed it from straight reporting to a factor of popularity, right? With the middle 40% or so of shows as average, and the bottom 20-25% are below average. And then they've got good, exceptional, wonderful, outstanding, yeehaw for the top. I mean, technically they are average, good, outstanding, exceptional. There we go. So the top 10 this week of the digitals, Stranger Things, they're expressing it as percentage of a multiplied factor of the average show. Stranger Things is turning up as 67.9% more popular than an average popular show. Stranger Things, then The Mandalorian, then Dark, Doom Patrol is up, it's ending. Clone Wars is up again. Titan, Harley Quinn, The Umbrella Factor, the Umbrella Academy, The Witcher, and Narcos. That's your top 10 digitals. No special deal here. You can go to parrotsanalytics.com, look at insights, get this yourself. I'm not getting paid anything. I'm filling in the weeks waiting for the Star Trek series to come back. And you know what? People asked once, will Lower Decks have the potential to show up here? Well, there's anime. There's anime and Uncle Fred. No, there's anime mixed in. It's not a live action only. As you know, if you follow the overalls, I don't mean the Oshkosh Bagoshes, I mean the overall shows, anime and live action mixed, digital streaming and live action mixed in, terrestrial network, satellite, all of that. Because number one, as it often is this week, 104 times more popular than the average show, was SpongeBob, followed by My Hero Academia, then Stranger Things, which is the only digital in the top 10 of the overalls, Game of Thrones, Avatar: Last Airbender, Steven Universe, another anime, Monday Night Raw, The Flash, The 100, which is wrapping up, and The Walking Dead. So there you go. Half the top 10, at least or more, is anime. So yes, Lower Decks, while the potential to show up in the Parrots, we'll see next week how they do. Okay? And let's get in and look at everybody. So once again, happy Tuesday, everybody. Thanks for spending some time here with us. If you're new to the bunch, I'll try to give you a shout out. Hey, Greg. How you doing? Jared, yeah, R.I.P. Grant. I'm still in shock. Hey, Mark Street, Dr. Dave. A lot of our Portales are here from Portal 47. A lot of folks are here. We're starting to pick up folks from Life Support Live's audience coming back to Tuesday Live. So welcome to you if you're there before I get to you. And some folks in from the late, great, ended for now, Nonfiction Fridays, which we ran for about 13 weeks, 12 weeks. It was a lot of fun. We'll bring that back at some point on Fridays. Van Archer. Hey, Van. Come on now. Come on. All popular things. Hey, Stephen. I said I was only going to say hi to new folks, but it's something about today makes me want to just say hi to everybody, right? Okay, Dan. Dan is in the UK. Dan Leckie. We've got two Dans, at least. Lower Decks trailer kind of disappointed me. I was optimistic about the animation style beforehand, but I really didn't find the humor in the trailer very funny. I was expecting more. Valid point. Everybody's got valid points right now. I'll only say that it was a trailer, so it might have been trailered, heightened. Boy, the first Beyond trailer was atrocious. Steve Price. Hi. Lower Decks looks like it could be fun. Hi, Rose. Glad you're with us on YouTube. Yes, Daniel Adams. Trailers can be misleading. Christoph in Austria has a good point. Hey, Christoph. He says the trailer wasn't made for us. For us. It was made for different viewers. Good point. Actually, the same was with the Star Trek Beyond first trailer. The Star Wars-y trailer with Sabotage. I never watched trailers anyway. Yes. And yeah, and Dan Leckie is reminding us all globally outside the US and Canada have never seen the next batch of short treks. It won't be available till they get it on the Blu-rays. Crazy. Okay, I'm just looking to this. Justin Porteous says, hate to admit this, but I was a little more excited about Lower Decks trailer than I was for Picard. It's okay. I'm excited for Lower Decks. I look forward to seeing what they can achieve with the medium. But to me, the big picture with Lower Decks, and I don't say this to cheat on the quality or the entertainment value for me or for any of you all that are here, because if you're here watching me right now, congratulations. You've achieved a certain amount of I don't know, jumping through the hoops in your Star Trek. Some would say nerd cred, but I'm just saying your Star Trek university. You've been around the block. You've been around the quadrant a couple of times. You've been through the wormhole and back. If you made it this far and you're here joining me, that's not who that trailer was aimed at. They want to make them happy. It's aimed at all those new eyes, young minds, fresh ideas out there that we so desperately need. But we don't need to pander to them either, without them even knowing it. We need to give them the best that will not be a jump when they too take the gateway drug of Lower Decks and go look at Next Gen. Or even the original series, but Next Gen and DS9, that's probably the path they'll take. And I'm saying they, code phrase for younger viewers, okay? And maybe not 6 and 8-year-olds, but the 12s, 13s, 14s, 15s, 16s, 18s, college kids. So yeah, I can't wait to see that. Scott Martin, I love the look of the trailer, although it wasn't quite as funny as I think I'd hoped for. Okay, see, everybody's all over the place. Of course, I don't need it to be funny all the time, and I have a feeling the stories will balance it all out. Yes, when we're not watching a trailer, I think that will happen. Yes. Mark Flessa, that's exactly. The backgrounds are what blew me away. They could have been more, they were far more detailed and accurate, considering we haven't seen this ship yet, obviously, which was a nice, you know, a nice hook there, a nice save. But even then, they didn't lean on that. There was lots of detail and lots of graphic detail, and more so than TAS was for the original series. There are some wacky angles, and there's some wacky things that are supposed to be aboard the Enterprise. Engineering is just out there. There are things that look like it's wacky 30s mad scientist labs drawn in 70s filmation style that are supposed to be in engineering in the Enterprise and science labs. Oh, yeah. Trina Nicholas. Hi, Trina. I don't think you're a first timer, but maybe you are, so hi. You're so excited for Lower Decks. It feels relatable because, let's be real, if I joined, I'm not automatically getting bridge crew on the Enterprise. So it'd be cool to see the shenanigans everyone else on the ship gets up to. Well, yes. I mean, Gene used to famously say in the world of Star Trek Onward that this isn't really a series or a franchise about people living in the 23rd century, the 24th century. It's about what people in the 20th and 21st century think it will look like. But it still has to be sold, be viewed by a 20th or 21st century audience. So it has to be relatable to us. Who knows how much humanity has changed? If we go back 300, 400 years and look at, I don't know, where are we then? Shakespearean times? Shakespeare's timeless. People live differently. We hopefully, I say hopefully, are much more informed and aware about things like science, rationality, real cause and effect. Supposedly, we're going by facts, not superstition and myth. We're living that way, basing our life decisions. We're utilizing resources. God, we're in a revolution about that, much less our social aspect and our environmental aspect. We're constantly evolving. What did they think 400 years ago? Sometimes they had a simpler take on it. Where will that be 400 years in the future? So no, it's about us then. But we'll see. We'll see. So that's always a caveat with anything in Star Trek. You can pull that. What would the hell would 400 years look like, people? You can pull that card on Next Gen, much less the original series. I just want to say this thing about LDS, Lower Decks. We had a mini debate. Maybe somebody will ask about this. There was a mini thing raging all the time, ever since the whole DSC versus DIS Yeah. Ever since the debate about the acronym of Discovery flared up, then we started plotting out, and Picard was kind of obvious, although I hate just the first syllable of a one-word title. I will never say Voy. I hated it in the 90s. We got it changed. Somehow somebody was asleep at the switch and brought Voy back when we just said V'ger. No, it's not going to be confused with the monster, creature, alien entity from the motion picture. You're talking about 7 seasons versus 1 2-hour movie. That was the thing said, that was the conceit said in the 90s, and we said, no. We're talking about this constantly. We're not going to write Voy, 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 Voy constantly. Pick makes me cringe. I would have much preferred PCD. That almost sounds like a drug. So, okay, I'll allow it for, and Enterprise, you didn't have much. There was a thing for a while that we thought about EPR, but no, just Enterprise, just make it go. Make it go. But Lower Decks, LDS makes the most sense, and what a lot of people don't think about, it's not just a joke from Star Trek 4. It's a joke in Star Trek 4, not just as a mixed up anagram of LSD, but LDS is the Mormons, the Church of Latter-day Saints, hashtag LDS. They've said LDS for 50, 100 years. On Twitter, hashtag LDS is Latter-day Saints, the Mormons. And if we pick LDS, which apparently now John said is going to be the acronym of use by all the licensees and the studio, that's fine. It would logically be the best one to use. We're just going to be sharing bandwidth. If you start hashtagging for LDS on your feeds, you're going to get a lot of Mormon stuff. That's just nothing against the Mormons. I'm just saying they kind of had it claimed. It reminds me a lot of the old days. We'd have cons in hotels, and half of the con would be a Baptist convention, and then here's the sci-fi geeks. That was always interesting times. That's what flashed back to me. Anyway, your point was, did I lose it? Did I lose it? She says, so Trina, you said, LDS feels relatable because it's real. If you join, you're not going to be right. You're not going to be on the bridge crew to see what that's going on to. Robert McLean, you only have Facebook. You're not familiar with the other social sites. Your children and grandchildren tell me, don't engage Pops. You'll just get into trouble. So here you are. That's good enough for me. Yes, Dr. Dave. Yeah, we saw that trailer was from multiple episodes. It wasn't like all from the pilot. Obviously, they were on different planets, on different second contact missions. So it'll be interesting to see what an actual episode looks like when it's not all the heightened clips, right? It's not promoed. It's not a trailer. Hey, Glenn. Yes. Good point, Scott. 99% of it, the commercials are bad and don't influence you. Jared says, the won't pay people make me sad. They're missing out on an entire era of Trek for a lame reason, cutting off their nose to spite their face. I will say that I included that is not just the won't pays, but the can't pay. And there are a lot of folks dealing with financial situations right now. COVID has made that. Notice how everybody stopped saying Corona? It's like one syllable too many now. Corona had a nice rhythm to it, but people don't give a f about rhythm now. I say COVID all the time, where I used to hang on to Corona. It's just COVID. And drop the 19. We all know what you mean. COVID is the generic. It's the COVID that began in the COVID, viral. This started in 2019. It's not the 19th planet around the star COVID. Yeah, Captain's log. On our away mission to COVID-19, no, it's not that. It's not that. Is droning off a reference to the board. Yes, Dan, it can be if you want it to be. Tim, Klutzman Trek really does. Oh, that's a first one on me, but then I'm not into it, Tim. Klutzman Trek really does keep going from bad to worse. Well, what can I say? There's thousands that disagree, and that doesn't make them right or you right. It's just a matter of math. So, there you go. You know, I still don't know if I will ever warm up totally to Voyager, but I would be forever affected by having watched the sausage be made. So, and more sense of what could have been rather than what was made, which is not what I preach to everybody, so bad on me. I know, I know. I feel more defensive about Enterprise, maybe because it's the runt of the litter in season years. Maybe because it's only 4 years, I feel more defensive about Enterprise, even though, oh my God, Enterprise had its thin spots. Yes, Trek on the Tube. Just got back and just heard about Grant. Yes. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, Daniel, we mentioned the Beyond trailer. A lot of people enjoy the Beyond movie better than the Three Kelvins. Okay, there you go, Glenn. You understand the money angle. Yeah. Yes. Trek on the Tube. Hey, guy. You genuinely believe Lower Decks will the best of the 3 current Trek shows? Discovery, Picard, and will be including itself. There might be that potential. We'll see. I'm just kind of amused at all the folks that have, and I will say, I'm power to them. I'm there with you in a lot of ways, especially Picard, not so much, but especially on Discovery. Some of the missteps that were made about visual assumptions or blind spots about visual assumptions. I must say that for all the folks who railed and railed and railed and railed about the visuals on Discovery and canon, visual canon, that I've not heard a peep about them praising Lower Decks. And you have to. You have to. Heard the ship porn folks talk about what a stupid design it was. I just want to go, have you watched the show? So, yes. Let's see. Hey, Keith Romback. Hi, Larry. Trek on the Tube is saying TAS, T-A-S, is one of the best. Oh, I pronounced TAS. I never should do that. TAS is one of the best iterations of the franchise. Yeah, force field belts, but yeah, okay, fine. 20-foot tall Spock, yeah, okay, fine. Mark Flessa, I assume the LDS ship's nav deflector is like that on the Steamrunner class, mostly just equipment with room for some rare repairs. Yeah. We'll say that, yes. By reading the books, Jared says, I've been paying at least $7 a month for new Star Trek since the 80s. We'll see, there you go. It'll need to iron out following its maiden season voyage. Right. Daniel, Alan Moraine, ignore this show. Yes. Scott says, replying to Jarrett, I'd still rather pay for what I want rather than paying a cable satellite company for hundreds of channels I don't want, not to mention wondering why every few months if they've made deals with the networks or not, and I might suddenly lose channels overnight. Yeah, although I feel like that's going to wind up where streaming is. Streaming bundles are going to get us back to cable. Only, what was the excuse for all the money when you had hardware lines and infrastructure where this is just digital infrastructure? What was the reason for the price increases there? Linda replying to Linda, weren't you the one who suggested the drinking game anytime there was singing or impersonations? That was folks. Yeah, that was Life Support Live. Ollie started it. Oh, I sang earlier, didn't I? Okay. Take 605 to South Street, Cerritos Auto Square. I would share that with the country, with the world. It's time you dealt with it. Yeah, voting with your dollar. Jared says, voting with your dollars to support the things you love. Like Patreon, like streaming. If I wanted more Trek, I paid the dollars. And since I paid the dollars, I'm getting more Trek. That's how it works, especially now. The middleman has been cut out. The network executive and the ad agencies has been cut out. Well, we'll leave it to you, Jared, to make up the drinking game rules for Tuesdays Live. Aaron Gallo, hi. You're a Rick and Morty fan looking forward to this new animated series. Aaron, I'd be curious to say, just from, again, the narrow lens of the trailer, how you are on that Rick and Morty feeling. Because I saw people comparing it. I mean, Rick and Morty is a lot more bizarre and off the ceiling than bouncing off the walls wacko than this will be. The senior staff is going to ground Lower Decks. I think people just feel it's unhinged just because it's animated, but there's a groundedness to the show that's not Rick and Morty-ish, or animation domination. Dan Leckie says, I know roughly how long the running times the episodes will be. I think they're in the half-hour format. They're not hours. They're not 45 minutes like the live actions. Mark Flessa says, I'm a little disappointed that my initial theory about LDS was incorrect. The Mormons? Oh, Lower Decks. You were 100% sure that it would turn out that the LDS crew were friends and proteges of Reginald Barclay. Well, never say never. We don't know. This would be post, where would we be here? This would be 6 years. Yeah, 6 years past the last time we saw him on the Enterprise. Oh, in First Contact, and then his time with the Voyager comeback project. So it would be post Voyager, obviously, duh. What he's up to. He was looking fairly competent there at the end. Hero of the Voyager return. Let's see. Jared says, Grant was one of those rare cases where I knew him as a fan first and a celeb second. Another one taken too young, Linda says. Yes. Thank you, Robert, for your condolences. Sad for everybody and sad for the world. And Grant was, it's a thing when the downside of fame and celebrity and just your heightened income level, hopefully, is that you've got to go on and you got to figure out what the crass world would say. You've got to keep that level. You don't want to lose, forget status, your income. It was nice to get to that pinnacle, but you got to keep providing. Unless you approach it from what am I going to take this experience, and the income I gain, but the experience, the networking, what am I going to take with that? And then the inner core of what I wanted, what makes me happy, what gives me pleasure, what can I share with the world as a person that's not, has a public persona to some point. I got into it this far. What am I going to do the rest of my sharing? And figuring that out. And sometimes it's a matter of figuring it out. Sometimes it's a matter of getting people to agree with you that it's, commercially viable, that there's a market for it, audience for it. And, I know Grant was in the middle of he was still doing what made him fun. You'd see him doing projects. The last thing he was working on was a new miniaturized animatronics Yoda that he was into on his socials that was, bringing a smile to people. And he was, he was a doer and a maker and a tinker and a roboticist and an AI guy and engineer. And I know engineers, they love to keep changing things. And, the entertainment world might be looking at it as his next big project. He was trying to look for that, but he was keeping himself busy and happy and in the meantime. So it's an interesting world once you get to that world. And I'm just sad that we won't get to see what his next big thing was going to be. Daniel, the love he had for Trek was clear from Continues. Oh, are you kidding me? He was a Trek nerd anyway, but then getting to play Sulu, and I know he got to talk to George, a few times. He was a lucky one whose namesake character actor was still around with us. The same way that the Chekhovs I have known got to talk to Walter. Hi, Michael Peter McDevitt. Welcome if this is the first time. IDIC indeed, Idic. Oh, Glenn, I forgot that, yes, you got the chance to see and talk with Grant one day. Yeah, it just, you know what, here's the thing. We're talking about Grant because he's someone who's passed. The way people memorialize anyone, when they pass. Their RIP treatment is to talk about them. And sometimes if they're controversial, they get examined in meta detail. Sometimes if they've lived a complicated life and they've had their ups and downs and all of that. Grant was not enough of a mega celebrity that we watched his 15 divorces and his 3 times in drug, because he didn't have all that. He was young, but that wasn't what he was. And again, I'm not trying to put him on a pedestal. as someone who was not a Confederate general. No, I'm trying not to put him on a statue pedestal, but he was basically a good, a good person that had his stuff to do in his life, but um, that was the way he was, and he did have that generate that glow in that life, and I don't mean in a goofy way, but he was just an up person, and I think that reflects his maker. We're going to take this and make something cool with it. I just think that just that just reflects that way across the board, that positive energy. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Yes, Dan Gunther. The world lost a great person. The world loses great people all the time. There's almost a little bit of a guilt when you focus on a celebrity, when so many people toil and do good works, and this COVID virus is, wars, tragedies that wipe out death ahead of time. But Grant was one of those people that reached through the TV all the years on Mythbusters and inspired so many people, so many young people, so many nerdy people before the geek wars were totally won. He was one of those in the front lines of showing nerdity and geekery was just fine, thank you. You can entertain folks, maybe even earn a paycheck from it. And not to mention, I'm obviously not Asian, but I'm sure tons of young boys and girls in the Asian community were thrilled to see representation like that. Representation matters. It's been so many years now. It's been over, it's been 10, 15 years that we forget even the early aughts what that was like. Keith Bauman. Oh my God, go Bears. Hi, man. Boy, you leave these social doors open up long enough and everybody wanders through. How great to see you here, man. Somebody from high school, guys. Good and a good guy. Even though he tried to kill me with the... No, I won't tell that story. The pickup and column speakers. Let's see. Justin Porteous says LDS should be fun to see how they handle an area of Trek we've rarely never seen before. Yes, how smart Mike was to stake out not just a time, but kind of a situation where they won't have to bump heads with all the galactic imports events happening. Jared, vote on the topic. Disclaimer, there is no guarantee the topic voted for will be the topic of the show. Well, yeah, he's talking about Life Support Live. I got 2 days behind, and then, yes, this isn't a democracy, gentlemen. You don't get a vote. You're welcome, Dan, on the videos. I've got so many videos from continues and actor interviews from all kinds of things I haven't posted. My new iMac is on the way, everybody. Hopefully a lot of these tech glitches will be completely done with. I won't be walking on eggshells tech-wise. And this storehouse of 20, 30, 40 videos and interviews that I've got put back, I can start getting out more equitably. I won't be afraid of editing anymore. More than live. Jared, interesting thing. Every session of Star Trek Adventures RPG at Gen Con Online sold out in less than an hour. People are trying to add more sessions. Are you saying, Jared, the interest there is about it was virtual gaming for the Gen Con replacement virtual con? Or are you talking about the fact that it was Star Trek Adventures RPG and people, it's an uptick in Star Trek gaming? Maybe you can get back to me. Thank you, Daniel. Portal 47 doing online cons before it was cool. And yet, the guests that you still won't see in an online con, right? Because these will go in cycles. Portal 47 is all year long, guys. Liebchen, yes. Sorry if we broke the news. I'm sorry about Grant. Yes. Rose, can I tell people what's coming up on Life Support Live? We're going to vote on the topic, but I'm going to tell you this. We had such a lot of fun, everybody, and if you weren't there with us, 4th of July fell on a Saturday. Life Support Live is Saturday mornings. What's his name? Ali and I debated about whether to take the week off, just 11 weeks in, 12 weeks in, with Life Support Live. Should we take the week off totally? And, not the whole world. It's not a holiday everywhere, it's just in America. But that's the bulk of our audience. But we try to, as with here, I try to have a set time so we can have a global audience for at least the Europeans. The Aussies, it's still kind of early in the morning or in wacky times, but we decided, well, let's not take the day off, but let's not give ourselves a full workload of a show. Let's just watch something that seems, let's watch an episode that seems to be in key with 4th of July somehow, and then we'll just talk about it. It'll just be a watch along with a little intro and a little outro. But it's not the Omega Gloric. It's been done to death, and it's really not about Independence Day and independence and rebellion and standing up for your principles. So we picked Insurrection. People say, Insurrection? But yeah, the themes matched, and it was a lot of fun, despite that I had difficulties and couldn't join until the last fourth of the show, which was radical, which was insane, and we've taken steps not to have that happen again. But we're going to do another watch show, only not a movie. We're going to do an episode, and the tones will reflect that. So yes, next Saturday we're going to do a watch-along, shorter episode, not a movie, and but still have all the points of Life Support Live. We'll still have a briefing room session. We'll still have a counselor's log from Ali. I'll still do a K3 factor of a deep dive Star Trek point, and then we'll do some away mission assignments for everybody too. So yes, we'll do that. That's the thing. We don't have the topic yet, but that's the format we're going to do next week as an experiment again. Not always, but next week. Is it considered hanging on or sticking around if you have us handcuffed to our seats? Wait, what? Oh, Glenn, the break that I started doing was anticipating cutting these for YouTube. I thought I mentioned that early on. So now I have a definite break, and YouTube's will only be 20, 30 minutes, not an hour and a half. Don't worry, Facebook's archive, where nobody goes to archive shows, Facebook's archive will still have the entire show. If you need to go back and see that answer that person in Guam asked that I gave the answer to 2 years ago, it'll all still be there. But YouTube is what the break is for. I will start editing those. I will retcon those and edit them down as soon as I can edit video again. Yeah. Interesting way to look at it, Liebchen. Now that's both front seats lost a version of Chekhov and Sulu. Yeah. Hi, Bogdan. Bogdan, I'm not sure where you're coming from, but thanks for joining us on YouTube. The chat is a lot more on Facebook, but thank you for helping pioneer my YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe it if you would, please. Yeah, R.I.P. Grant, he was great as Sulu in STC. He was. He enjoyed the hell doing that. And the picture I have, we installed the Sulu scope, or the Viewmaster as I used to call it, and it was motorized, and it came up once, and then we put it down, and then it locked up and would never work again. And it was so disappointing. We got it coming up on film. We did a take where it's coming up in a master shot, so we at least had that. And then we just left it up the rest of the time. We couldn't fix it. And I've got some shots and video of Grant is sitting there in costume, and he's like looking at it, seeing if he can figure out just sitting there, you know, the robotics of it, the engineering of it. There you go. Michael Peter McDevitt. Does Lower Decks trailer render Dr. Bashir's color-changing white shoes from Birthright Part 1 an official uniform variant? So that's where that came from. I guess it does. Yeah, if you're on the Second Contact ships, you can, if you're on a backwater space station, supposedly, or I guess that's, yes, I guess it has. Well, let's see how many science jumpsuits turn up now with white tennis shoes at cons when we can do it. Brian Yates, an actual question. Any clue as to why the first 3 Trek movies aren't on CBS All Access? I can understand the Kelvin movies, but it seems odd the others are missing. I have no idea. When we did Insurrection for our watch-along, all the next-gen movies are on All Access, except Insurrection, I think. All of them were, except Insurrection, were on one of the platforms. Maybe it was Prime or Netflix, but it was odd. Hi, Yvette Blackman. Nice you could join us. I think you've been on before, but hello. Good point about the trailers audience. Yes. Yeah. That's one thing about fandom. It's like we see one thing and we think it's all for everybody, all for us. And it's like there are other worlds out there that could care less what we think about. Or you know what? It's like we got them. Or the haters are going to hate, or the disappointees are going to be disappointed. The maybe come arounders are maybe going to come around. But that's they're at least in operation. They're at least viable right now. They're at least in the petri dish. We need to go get some more samples in the petri dish over here. Yeah, right. Thank you, Twitch. I'm going to skip that. Of course, Rusty Harrow, you've already made the pad from Lower Decks. Of course. TAS was a hoot. Oh no, we got some Twitchers that think they're being ignored. Yep. Dan Leckie says, your favorite animation style out of Ephraim and Dot, The Girl Who Made the Stars, and LDS is The Girl Who Made the Stars. That's more like 3D Dynamation. Yeah. No, when I think of I'm the old school. When I think of animation, I think of colored black and white, colored in 2D animation. Everything else feels like it was, live action Rudolph, only it's been animated with CG or something. Ephraim and Dot was a little more detailed and filtered and shaded into 3D flat animation given shaded links. So I'm happy with Lower Decks with LDS. I swear, guys, every time I say LDS, I think it's a Mormon thing. I know that's only probably Utah and the environs that get that. I had a good friend that was Mormon. I'm not Mormon, but I had a good friend that was Mormon when I was younger, and I just, when I heard Star Trek 4 LDS, I thought it was like, oh, that's funny. And that's only recently that I realized people just think LDS is funny in Star Trek 4 because it's LSD scrambled. And it's like, no, each one was a thing, and they were confused. Anyway. Michael Graves says, you've heard complaints that the animation of Lower Decks is not as good as TAS? Excuse me? I'm with you, Michael. I love Filmation, but you're absolutely right. They just show a Spock eyebrow, so they wouldn't have to animate. Well, no, it's an artistic choice to only show the eyebrow raising. Dan Gunther says, I like V'ger. Oh, and you like PRD. What did I say? PCD? PRD. I could get to like PRD. I just hate pick and voy and int. They're just, yeah. Okay. You prefer Dan void to void. Okay. PCD is good too. Yeah, PCD just sounds like PCP to me, like it's a drug. And it's not just the video thing. It's that we do so much. I'm talking about LDS here, hashtags actual, typos, and fighting autospell. So much of our life is, can we avoid just one letter away from something that's even forget the overlap of exactness. What about one letter away that typos are always going to be corrected and people are going to have their own typos and people are going to misread and all of that. Eli Irvin, hi. Eli, you popped in on something else this week and we had a conversation, I think. But welcome to Tuesdays Live. Rick and Morty speaks to my twisted sense of humor. The LD trailer just really spoke to the Rick and Morty quadrant of my heart. Oh, yeah, you earlier. Also, the comment of seeing what the Not Bridge crew is doing excites me. Yeah, it was the appeal of, that show, Lower Decks. By the way, Ron Wilkerson, who was half of the writing team that wrote the episode Lower Decks, pitched the story concept and then didn't get to write the final teleplay late in Next Gen, was our last, talk about timeliness, was our last Portal 47 guest. So that was good to hear his take on it. And some things apparently still lingering about it. Yes. Also, please accept my profound. Oh, thank you. Oh, that's right. Oh, yes. I'm sorry, Eli. Yes. I'm trying. Did we meet in Kingsland? Because I didn't. I would get to about half of the shoots after from 3 onward. And I miss seeing a lot of people that were there in Kingsland. Um, yeah, the Grant-shaped hole in the universe. Nicely put. Okay, Glenn, you got your acronym thing all straightened out. There you go. It's one or the other, yeah. Or show the back of the head when they were speaking. Well, it got the show's run on time. Reclove, hi, I'm sorry. Are you still in the chat? Like I said, Twitch. I need Twitch bots to say, hang on, we're not ignoring you. Oh, maybe this is what's wrong with this. The Twitch audience expects to be looked at. They don't expect to be multi-streamed with Facebook and YouTube. You would pronounce LDs as LDs. Yeah, there you go. LDS is copyright, Robert? Maybe so. I don't know. I don't know. If it's only used in social media, but we'll see. We'll see. My kids call it the Rona. Yeah, Yvette. Back to when I was talking about the virus. Yes, coronavirus. Thank you, Linda, the nurse. Yes, coronavirus is the virus, is the organism, the virus. COVID-19 is the disease. Like treponema pallidum causes syphilis. Yes. Dan Leckie, has there been any announcement about when Discovery Season 3 will be coming? No. Hopefully. Hi, Bob Roberts. PP? I'm not sure. Eli Irvin says there are a few of us in fan circles who have been sharing our CBS All Access accounts with other people who can't afford it or don't have a credit card. Very true. And you bought an account for a couple of other folks, too. That's awesome. A lot of us... a lot of folks' clubs and organizations and sponsorships have public screenings where there's no money charged. It's just like a public view party. And we've done that when we used to could do that. So now that's not an option, really. You can do view parties, I guess, digital ones. Oops, drink. I did something. Okay. Oh, Liebchen Neispiel on Facebook. Oh, I hope if it was jittery, I hope it went away. Good, yay. Okay. Good, good, good. Bye, Scott. I think we've probably gone on way too long here. Let's see. Rob McLean, cable internet always has and still uses communication phone lines that were installed by and maintained by the phone companies. It's been a touchy issue between the giant companies for years. Eventually, all will probably become Ma Bell again. Yeah, come back full circle. Wouldn't be surprised if LDS wound up with voice cameos by Will Wheaton and Dwight Schultz as Wesley and Broccoli. Yes, and many others. Why just them? Totally. No, Kivyuku, I'm not even old school. Yes, this is about the death of the guy from Mythbusters. Yeah, I wish I could have reached out to the Twitchers more about... Grant had this whole secret Star Trek life. He was cool. Can I play your song, old man? Well, not like this. My granddaughter Larry would call Grant a good egg. There you go. Indefinitely. I mean, indubitably. Truck on the Tube. He and the others at Mythbusters made me understand and truly believe that being over the top and nerd analysis is fine. Absolutely. As in wondering if this or that makes sense. There you go. Hey, Jana Wee. See, this is what... Jana, hi. I rarely had seen Mythbusters. I know him from Star Trek Continues. See, and that's the world. We had so many anime people come over to Continue. So many anime fans found Star Trek thanks to Continues because they were Vic or Todd or Chuck anime fans. Hi, Moo Young Kim. Hello and welcome. You finally got to see one of these from Scott Schneider's recommendations. Oh, yay! Tell Scott I said hi and smooth sailing on all his projects at the moment. But glad you could join us. Jump in if you want to. Liebchen says, anyone playing Star Trek Timelines? There you go, audience. The LSL watch party was great. Inspired me to go back and watch the other TNG era movies. Well, you're welcome, Linda. Hi, Jana. Jana or Jana. I'm going to say Jana. I've only known one Jana, but I did know one. Okay, you played it until you played Timeline until it became boring. Hey, Clayton George, I'm still waiting for the Life Support Live about how mental illness is shown and represented in Star Trek. We're going to do that. We've got that. Woo! Yeah, we're going to do that one. Yes. R.I.P. Grant. I'm subscribed on Facebook and YouTube, but I prefer Facebook for this. I know, it's better. At least until my YouTube channel gets a lot more attention. YouTube's for archiving, and they're both, Facebook and YouTube are trying to do what the other does, but each had their thing. Facebook for live, YouTube for archival. Because YouTube has the search engine that's easy to use after the fact. Rose, hey, do you know that Virtual Trek is starting tomorrow, the 15th to 20th? Yes, Virtual Trek is happening. Wow, I didn't even think about that. I've got a panel in there. I'm on a podcast panel somewhere. They filled up, they wound up getting so many guests that some of the other ideas we were talking about doing got crowded out. It became a huge, huge thing. So good on Ryan and all of their team, the Seventh Rule team. Liebchen says, I'm trying to get 3 STC characters included in the game, and the developers are just ignoring me. Have a guess which 3. Well, it's not licensed if you mean original characters like McKenna, etc., etc. Yeah, they're not licensed characters, so they don't want to. That's a legal powder keg. Hi, Christine Topher. Sometimes CBS will syndicate some videos so they can put it on another service like Netflix, exclusively a specific amount of time. Yes, they do it with series as well. Trying to binge watch Caroline in the City, would they yank it halfway through your binging? But thank you, Christine, for jumping in. If you're new, yay. Stephen. Hey, Tex Trekkie, you're looking forward to Lower Decks. Just hope the silliness doesn't break the believability of the Star Trek universe. Oh, like the Orville? No, I think it's going to be under control. Yes. It's going to be like a notch above the silliness of Practical Joker on TAS, probably, but yeah. Thank you, Glenn, for the LDS too much. Too much LDS. Wondered about that. Trek on the Tube. Yes, Dan Gunther is somewhere watching. See, we let everybody in. We even let you in. See? There you go. Christine, you're disappointed in Lower Decks reminds you of Final Space. I'm not familiar with Final Space. I'll have to go check that out. But again, don't judge the whole series from this one trailer. There's going to be a completed scene shown for their big mega panel for the Lower Decks section of the Comic-Con at Home CBS section a week from Thursday. Trek on the Tube. People saying that LDS has anything to do with Rick and Morty have simply either watched R&M or don't understand that show. LDS is a lot more Final Space than anything else. Okay, I got to watch Final Space. Okay, Eli, thank you. We haven't met. You came in after STC wrapped. Okay, well, someday I'll meet you and a lot of other people that we're meeting online and haven't seen yet. Robert, your fear with acronyms is that in 100 years or so, people won't understand each other because they're all into acronyms. Yes. Moo Young Kim, love all the new Trek, something for everybody. That's kind of the idea. Doesn't erase your ability to critique everything or to have favorites, but it's a whole new paradigm that we don't, just the way, I mean, we go to this, people go to the old fans who did not want Next Generation to happen, the original series fans who didn't want Next Gen to happen. But people look at that the way they look at now. They don't look at it in the paradigm of, it wasn't like original series people opposed to something new. It was people who had no clue what something other than Star Trek meant those characters on that ship. Star Trek didn't mean anything else. we had to live through it to get it. And finally, after 4 or 5 years of realizing this is not a fluke, they went, we can build this if the franchise happened. The franchise at first was TV and then movies and then a cartoon show. But it was all about the same characters. That was what the franchise meant at first. The first time I thought of a franchise, there was a quote from they were talking about the fourth network originally that phase 2 would have been. And somebody from Gary Nardino mentioned the phrase, the family jewels. And that's the first time I got the concept, however young I was. Oh, they see it as something bigger than just those 3 years of 79 rerun syndicated episodes. So anyway, hi, Chris Hurt. Yeah, Facebook is, thank you for being on YouTube. I hope you subscribe. If you guys that are watching on YouTube would subscribe and get the count up. You know what YouTube was the first 10 years for me? It was a free server for videos for my blog. And the whole YouTube revolution as far as being the number 2 search engine after Google, people go to YouTube to Google things because they'd rather watch a video than read how to do it. And then, you know, so much specialized. I can watch so many old OU clip shows on YouTube. It's amazing. Entire football games from the 70s and the 80s. It's insane. Yeah, that's what YouTube is good for. So you guys that are watching me right now on YouTube, please like and subscribe and click and ring the bell and all that stuff, because that's how we'll eventually get people independently going to YouTube to watch. But yeah, the chat experience is far more robust on Facebook than it is on YouTube now. But eventually we'll change that. I'm just getting to it late. So thank you. If you're lonely and want to have one of both going, by all means, you're welcome to do that. I've had people even do that on Life Support Live days. We do that with Twitch. Like today is going way, way too long. But I think today I did bring in 2 topics and people seem to want to talk about them. So we'll keep on. But thanks for being there on YouTube, Chris. Oh, thank you, Jane. Well, you know, yes, the difference between the virus. Well, I kept wondering, why are some people saying COVID and some people saying Corona? Well, there's a reason. A day or 2 or 3 into it, I also went back and was reading everything I could on the 1918 pandemic. So much I didn't realize, or I had fuzzy history. I thought it broke out as the troops were coming home. It broke out because the troops were just getting started. Probably started in Kansas. That's what's amazing to me. Chris, hi. On Twitch, it's under LSL Host. I don't promote the Twitch just because it's so unsatisfying for people. The 12-year-olds, I don't have a bot yet there to station to say, he's ignoring you until the first 30 minutes go by. Can I speculate when season 3 might be coming at least? Well, it was all about finishing up the post. I'm thinking they're going to try to get it launched. There's 10 weeks of Lower Decks. They'll probably clear August, September, October. Whether they will try to get season 3 started before the holidays and take a break, or if they prefer that format of no break and just waiting till January. So that's the thing. It was supposed to have started in June. So COVID stopped that. The production slowdown. The post, the editing, but also especially the music scoring. So whether they try to cram it in before the end of the year in the holiday break, or whether they do a gap, a hiatus, short hiatus break, the way they did season 1, or whether they wait until after. That's the deciding factor now. And if they do start it ahead of the holidays, it'll overlap with Lower Decks just a tad, right? August, early October. They could squeeze it in maybe if they immediately came in early October, I guess. We talk? No, actually, no, it wouldn't. We're at 12 episodes, 12 or 13, right? Not 10. Oh, you found it. Wow. Okay. Chris, you must be adept at using the Google or something. Glenn, I just said used to could. Apparently I did. I had a woman on the phone the other day laugh because I said aughts. And I'm like, I've said aughts for ages. And she said, I used that the other day at work, and someone had never heard of it. And I said, what, they never saw The Music Man? She said, called me old. And I said, no, it's not old. It's only a factor every 100 years. He should have thanked you for giving him a teachable moment there, to be reacquainted with a timeless concept. You know, it's like Halley's Comet, only it's 100 years and not 76 or 3 or whatever it is. I used to could say that. Hey, the Trek hippie. So sometimes CBS syndicates a few movies to Netflix for exclusive use for a limited time. Yes, that's what all the studios do. Um, hey, the Trek hippie. I'm new. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too. On Twitch, it's amazing. As long as you know that if you watch this on Twitch next Tuesday, we don't do any chat until the break, until like the first 30 minutes. So just so you know. But if you're there camping out, you can tell all the other kids stepping in that don't be personally offended if they're being ignored. Good to see you. Christine, I just heard someone tell me there is now an app that can, but right now on Restream, I'm hitting the 3 platforms. I can see the combined chat, but each individual platform YouTube only sees YouTube, Facebook only sees Facebook, and Twitch only sees Twitch. And since my community's been on Facebook since day one, most of the chatters are there. The YouTube is building. The Twitch kids just get frustrated unless somebody goes over that knows the score and warns them. But I'm not paying combat pay, so that hasn't really happened often. Trek Hippie, you've looked at this on YouTube, Facebook, and here, and you're not seeing these people's names in the comment you're mentioning. They're mostly on Larry Nemecek's Trekland on Facebook. Hi, Karen. You met Grant at a Star Trek Continues benefit. Yeah. One of the cons, Vegas or Phoenix or something? Or maybe one of the shows where I wasn't even. Creative, intelligent, humble human man. Yes. Humble young man. I think a lot of kids, you said your 16-year-old's been affected by his passing. I think a lot of kids, teens and tweens, that even see Mythbusters reruns or watch them really young, because you could watch Mythbusters as a little kid. Guys, I don't know. Facebook and YouTube and Twitch are bare, but Larry Nemecek's Trekland, you should be seeing the comments. That's where the vast majority are Facebook people. Well, Jaina, it's not we? Is it way? You tell me. It's a pain to me about mispronouncing people's names. Just ask Richard Morozhensky. I finally got his down just because I paid attention to it. Oh, you're answering for me. I've got everybody so well trained. Thank you, Christoph. Okay, I will take that into account on Final Space. I obviously have to go watch it. The first part. Jana. Yana. Oh, there you go. See how easy that was? Is it we or we? You can tell me. TNG had an episode of Lower Decks. Yes, it was called Lower Decks. It's the thing that kind of inspired the cartoon. Thank you, Rusty. A live action would have been fun. Okay. Yes. Okay, good. Thank you, Christoph. Don't even know my own thing. We went through such an evolution on the titles and how to do things. And that Twitch channel was, Skype was the crazy thing. Twitch is LS host. Or LDS host, yeah. Yes. LS host, which always sounded to me like a 70s motel chain or something. There we go. Oh, I'm so sorry, Robert. Yeah, near Camp Funston, right? Yeah, we'll see what they do. I don't know. I guess they think the gap. I thought they decided the gap was not beneficial on the first season. Well, Smith is a licensed character. Smith is from the pilot, Yeoman Smith, now Lieutenant Smith. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was teasing about the computer adept, Chris. Yeah. Let's see. Still looking for actual. Oh, that's you, Chris. Okay. Here, I thought I had all kinds of people coming back and forth. There we go. Sorry for glitches, guys. Truck on the Tube says, people are always angered by trailers, but never seem to keep in mind trailers are like the show on drugs. Yes. It's hyper, yes, hyper comatized, hyper, it's all heightened. That's what I'm trying to say. Condensed in a couple of minutes, even more so. Ha! Ha! If I've got that kind of, Robert, if I've got that kind of ability, yeah. Then at last we grew to one day our people dared to think they were gods. Yeah. Oh, Karen, I hope to see you at a con someday soon. Ugh. Oh, Chris, it's... Christine, you had me totally fooled. See, you're just jumping sites. You just platform adept, folks. Okay, Michael, glad you could stop by. You're gone already, I know, but there you go. Well, thank you, Christine, for jumping up. If only everybody went over and signed up on YouTube, subscribed on YouTube right now. I'm about to hit 1,000 people. I was like finally bearing down on 1,000 subscribers. Ali has like 77,000, but he put his whole work the last 3 or 4 years has been building up his YouTube videos and his overlap with HBO and BuzzFeed and Netflix. Well, Michael, Facebook, it depends on what you're in. They have a curated comments, but they have a live. They should have a live action, live real time stream, or you could do the curated comments. I hope. If not, that's going to be pissy. But these are happening so fast, I can't believe a lot of them aren't happening. Good night, Rose. Excuse me. Glenn, fall into the gap. Yes. Okay, Yana. Okay, I love it when we have internal communications, conversations. I think... Oh, there you go, Christine. Power to you on monetize through your travails here. Good luck. And good luck on monetizing your channel there. Oh, I forget that 1,000 followers is a platform. Yeah. Oh, I'm at 997. Okay, thank you, guys. Without making me do an infomercial. Yeah, Justin. Yes. Yes. Do you ever watch LDS? That would be interesting. So do you think LDS is too silly? Do you think LDS is breaking canon? You could have all kinds of fun with that. What am I thinking? I'm just such a stick in the mud. You know what? I will get over and follow you, Chris Hurt. I will. Okay. Guys, that became a little more elongated. Thanks for joining in. Let me get back to wrapping this up here on the long version. Here, I guess I'm going to start calling this the Facebook version. Is that what I would? People would say, well, what other version is there? Yeah. No, again, thanks everybody for joining us on Tuesday. If you can, reach out to the rest of the Trekland Empire. If you want to join the Patreons that are helping support us, thanks to all these guys and gals. And it's very easy. Just go to patreon.com/TreklandLive. $5, $10 a month. $5 is a shout out every month. $10 is an equal shout out plus access to our earlier interviews. I'm way behind on that. I owe people months of back links, and I'm getting to that. I got my taxes done. I got the new computer ordered. We are making progress. Thanks to you guys for your patience. Thanks to you guys for checking out the Trek Files every week. Again, Rod Roddenberry is the guest this week. Our topic is profanity in Star Trek through the lens of Major Roddenberry. So yes, over on Facebook is where you can get us everywhere at podcast.roddenberry.com, but Facebook is the home base and also where the documents are. And the whole library is there. This is our 5th season. It's kind of amazing. This is episode 163 of Tuesdays Live. And almost as long. Please get over to the Facebook page for Life Support Live and join. You have to be admitted, but we'll join everybody. There's not even questions. Just join and then vote in the poll that's going up here in just a few minutes. This week, I can tell you, we'll have an episode watch along in line with our topic. So I'd love for you to join us. Ali and I have a great time. It does a lot of good and help for folks, but we still have a lot of fun. And it's hopefully at a time when people can get to it and watch us live. If not, it's also up later. You can watch us later if you like. But the real time, you could even Skype in and be with us on camera too. So hopefully you'll check out Life Support Live. Another reason to like and support my YouTube channel, right? The YouTube channel is just Larry Nemecek, same as my Twitter. If you're on Facebook with us, that's my Instagram account, Larry Nemecek's Live. And you know what? I appreciate the Patreon help. I appreciate all the looks here. But if you really want to take the plunge and dive in with us with the deep divers, Portal47.net. You too can be a Portales and have a mini-con all year long with the magic of virtual streaming. We've been doing this since 2015. I don't mean Facebook Live. I've been doing this since 2017. 2015 was when Portal 47 started, and will be coming up soon. I need to be working on my anniversary open house and our special anniversary guest. That needs to come along. So anyway, thanks so much, guys. Thanks so much for everybody joining us here on Tuesday. Keep the conversation going on the platform of your choice. Please like and go subscribe. I'm going to have to see as soon as I bust through 1,000. Please do that, and we'll see you back next week. As long as, guys, please stay healthy. Oh, I should mention, I'll be posting a directory to it. But yes, I have a panel on Virtual TrekCon this weekend. I have a panel at Comic-Con next week, Comic-Con at Home, the 3 science advisors. Every formally titled TV Star Trek science advisor since 1990 will be on my panel. It's only 3 people. Mostly the bulk of that time was taken up by the guy in the middle. But Dr. Aaron is with us, and also Narain Shankar, who does a little thing now like, show runs The Expanse. We had a great time talking old and new science and Star Trek. That's next Thursday at 5 o'clock. There's a couple of times coming up for our Trek Podcaster panel with Virtual TrekCon coming up. I'll post those. Other than that, guys, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate the community. We all appreciate the community at a time like losing somebody like Grant. And I love, like we had here, I forget who it was, said that you didn't know Grant from Mythbusters. You knew him from Star Trek, which is just awesome. Awesome for Star Trek and awesome for Grant. And let's all, God, if we could all just share a fraction of the positivity and light that Grant brought to the world, we'll be doing good. Especially these days. But not just these days, even in the normal times, whatever the hell that looks like, guys. So let's all get to the normal times again. Let's get through this. Let's all hold each other up. Let's give things a try. But you know what? If we know something is not working, let's call it out in a thoughtful, civil way. Stay healthy, my friends. It sounds like the world's most interesting Trek fan, not. No, but seriously, stay healthy, guys. Stay woke, and I mean check your sources. And most of all, everybody, trek well. We'll see you next week, if not sooner.